What's up, you guys? Today I'm going to be showing you how to do an oil change on a 2017 Honda Civic EX. You know what I'm saying? This is going to be a little interesting because it's the normal car. So right here we have the 1.5 liter turbo motor, the 4-cylinder. Excuse me. So we're going to be working with this today, and I'm going to show you guys how to change the oil. It's pretty easy. Alright, so these are the tools you're going to need. Alright, so you're going to need some jack stands, a jack, to lift up the car and lift that stand, a 17mm wrench, or you can use a socket and a socket wrench. Just prefer using wrenches. A flathead and a Phillips head screwdriver for the under tray. Oil filter pliers and a oil filter strap wrench. And you're gonna need, of course, a rag, a funnel, the oil filter, and the oil. And shablamo, the oil catch, which is very dirty because I've done a couple oil changes already. But that's pretty much all the tools you're gonna need for this. It's very simple. Anybody can do this at home. Alright, first you're gonna want to find a good point to lift your vehicle, which is right there. And it's the same all the way around on the back, if you can kind of see that. See if I can zoom in on it. Right there. So jack her up on there, and that's the way we're gonna lift up the car. And then we're gonna use jack stands, which is down there. So make sure you always use jack stands. It is a huge safety precaution, and it is well worth it. So we're gonna move on to that now. Alright, I apologize for the wind if there is any, because it's very windy today. But after you have it lifted and you have your jack stand set, that's where you want it. So this is overall what it should look like. And now you have a nice space to go into the vehicle and work, and a safe space. Now if you haven't already, go ahead and pop your hood, which is this latch right here. Lift it up and you pop your hood. And then another thing you should always do is always check your owner's manual. It will have everything you need for it, like for adding oil and the type of oil you use. So, I apologize for that. So yeah, always check your owner's manual, and you will never go wrong with that. So, I'm going to show you another thing that's another way you can check the kind of oil you use. As you can see, it is right here listed on the cap. Now, most cars do have this. As I said in my other oil change video, most cars do have where it says it on the cap. But, like I said, it's always good to have a second reference to always check your owner's manual. So, we're going to go ahead and actually unscrew this, and then leave it right here. So that way it's a safety catch. Alright, so now you're under your vehicle. You can see there's an under tray right here. There's about 6 of these. They're little, just little plastic kind of screws, or not plastic. They are plastic. Little screws or hold downs. You just use your flathead, and they have a direction on them, like to turn, and you just loosen that, and they fall right down, just like this. And there's also supposed to be 2 Phillips heads in the front, right around here, but there's one missing right there. So you just need, this is where you need your flathead and your Phillips head screwdriver. So pretty easy, and the whole under tray comes out right after that. And you drop this, and you pull it right out, just like that. Alright, after getting rid of your under tray, you'll find a lot of road debris and trash, but you'll also be exposed to your oil filter, which is right here, and your drain plug. So now you have full access to everything, and this is where you are gonna now first loosen the drain plug, and then move to the oil filter. I'm gonna show you guys how to do that process now. Alright, so after setting aside your tray and your bolts neatly, we are going to start the process of taking out the filter and the oil drain plug. So first you're going to need this oil drain so you can catch all the old oil so it doesn't get all over your driveway. Alright, so now this is where you use your 17 millimeter wrench, or you can use a socket wrench, whichever you prefer, whatever floats your taco sauce. I don't mind using a wrench, you know, if you don't mind doing quarter turns every single time. But I just use this to break it loose, and I can usually get it out with my fingers. So 17 millimeter wrench or 17 millimeter socket wrench, and then move on to taking that out now. Alrighty, so now you go to the drain plug, and you go ahead and break it loose. Remember, lefty loosey, righty tighty. And shouldn't be too much, like that, unless it is Hulk Hogan tight. Should be fine. Now it's loose, so this is where you use your oil drain, and I'm going to show you how to compensate for the drainage. Alright, so now you have your oil drain, you have your oil drain plug loose, so always put it a little further away, because that oil is going to shoot out because it's all collected right here. So this is where you definitely need gloves, and you're going to have to change them right after this, or just take them off. But this is where you do it, and you'll see as I slowly start to turn this. They actually do make a tool for this. It's a magnet, and you know, it makes you less dirty, but I don't have that, so I'm going to have to compensate and just wait for the drainage. Alright, now you see how it flows out, and this is where you definitely need to get a rag. So I'm going to go get a rag, and be right back. Alright, so I got a rag now, and as you see, it's only been about 2 or 3 minutes, and the oil has already almost completely stopped draining. Now remember, after you compensate for that massive amount of oil that comes out and it goes kind of far, make sure you start to gradually pull it forward, because once it starts actually going all of it starts coming out, it actually starts going down more towards where the actual drain plug is. So that's when you start to compensate for how much there actually is. So after doing that, now you're ready to place the drain plug and the gasket back in. Now, I recommend replacing the gasket, but it is not dire if you skip it once. Now, you skip it multiple times, you'll gain an oil leak. So you just drain that, put that drain plug back in, screw it on in, and then wipe the excess oil off, and then we move on to the oil filter. Alright, and after you actually run that back in with your fingers, go ahead and tighten it and torque it down. Now, if you don't know the proper torque specification, that is okay. Just make sure it is nice and tight, not completely tight, because it's going to leave a problem for the next person that's going to change the oil. So just make it a little snug, just like that. Wipe all the excess oil off, and then we'll move on to the oil filter. Alright, so now we're going to move on to the oil filter, which is right here. Now, you can use either of the tools I picked, which is the oil filter pliers, and alright, and these the strap wrench. So I prefer oil filter pliers when I'm taking it off, because you don't really care about the old oil filter. So just kind of go in here like this, and then squeeze down on it, and start to turn. And it's super simple in this car. I love the way Honda done it, because all you gotta do is a couple turns, and then you can actually start to take it off with your hands. Now, you can get another pair of gloves on. I don't have another pair of gloves. Well, I do. They're just in the house. I don't feel like going inside. But you can kind of loosen it, and you see it start to drain. Let it drain for a little while, and then continue to turn again, and it'll keep draining. So I'm going to let this process keep going, and then I'm going to start. Okay, so after removing the, removing the old oil filter, kind of compare the two with the thread patterns. As you can see, they're closely the same. And what you can do is you can either stick your finger in that pile of mess right there, or go right here on the old filter, which I like to do, and just kind of run your finger around it, just so you can lubricate the new seal. And make sure, oh my goodness, and make sure that the seal is well lubricated, and that the other seal from the old oil filter isn't on the housing, which I'll show you just in a second what I'm talking about. Alright, now you see that housing, and you see around it right there where it's all metal. Now sometimes you can what's called double gasket, and the old gasket will be sitting there and you won't know, and you'll put the new one on there, and that could cause a massive oil leak. So now I'm just letting you guys know about that, because that is actually an actual big problem that some people run into, and they wonder what they did wrong, and that's mainly what it is.
Now can I do it?
Alright, so now you can go ahead and start screwing in the new one. You can, if you like, you can put some of the new oil inside the oil filter. I just decided not to, just because, no really reason behind it. But that's another recommended thing to do. Now you get it nice and tight with your hands, and then I recommend using that strap wrench I showed you, so that way you don't damage the oil filter like you would with oil filter pliers. Alright, so now you use the rag and that strap wrench, and then you start to tighten it with the strap wrench, so that way you don't really damage the oil filter. It might be kind of difficult to get around with there, but you know, it's well worth it to not damage that filter. Alright, so now you have the filter nice and tight, as well as the drain plug. Make sure you can't move it back and forth with your hand. You know, don't do it over tighten. You know, just make sure that, you know, just like the littlest movement won't move it, because I can probably still turn it off with my hand. But now you're all completely done in the vehicle. You put your tray back on, just a reverse of how you took it off. It's, you know, pretty simple. And then now we're gonna move up to pouring the oil in the car. All right, now that you're all finished under the car, you can go ahead and drop it off with the jack stands and let it rest on the floor, and then we're gonna start pouring in the oil. Alright, first make sure there's nothing underneath the vehicle. None of your tools were left under there, the oil drain pan, and make sure all your bolts are secure on the under tray, and then you can go ahead and start letting them off the jack stands. Alright, so you are going to start pouring in the oil. You see right here we got Castrol Edge Advanced Full Synthetic. So that's pretty much what's recommended in this. It's full synthetic. You know, it's recommended for any piston engine. But, oh my gosh. So the owner's manual said that it didn't give a specific amount. So in this case, just pour in a couple of quarts, probably like 2 to 3. Check your dipstick, and then put it back in and add more oil as needed. So that's what we're gonna do now. And the dipstick is located right there. You see the orange, and pouring it right in there. So that's what we're gonna do, and then we move on from there. Okay, so we added about 4 quarts, and we checked our dipstick, and you can see that there is the oil up to the full mark. So now we're going to start the engine for about 5 to 10 minutes and see whether or not we have to add some oil or if we put a little too much. So let's see. Alright, the vehicle is on and running. Now is the time to check for any oil leaks. Check under your vehicle, see if anything is dripping. Yeah, just to make sure you didn't maybe cross-thread your drain plug or double gasket your filter. So that's just always a good idea to check around and look and make sure nothing is leaking. Alright, so after letting the engine run for about 5 to 10 minutes, go ahead and check your oil level again. Make sure you wipe it off the first time, then check it twice. As you can see, it is at the perfect level. So we are ready to roll, and that is it. Oil change complete. Alright, so after changing your oil, you're going to have to reset your oil life on the car. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to turn it on. Okay, you're going to let it go through its little cycle and everything. It's going to tell you to fasten your seatbelt, yada yada yada. Alright, so after that you go to the information button, which is on the steering wheel right there. And then you're going to go all the way down to the wrench. It's right there. Alright, now you see oil life is displayed. Now you press and hold enter for about 10 seconds. And it should reset. Alright, and then you see the maintenance reset. Now you're going to go down. You're gonna keep going down. After that, you're going to go down, and then you're going to say all due items. You're going to press enter. and then the reset is complete, and now your oil life is set to 100. So that's pretty much it, and that's how you do the oil change. Alright, so that's how you change the oil in your 2017 Honda Civic EX. Thank you guys for watching. Do all that stuff that they tell you at the end of all these little YouTube videos, and keep updated for some more. We might have some different vehicles that we're going to do different kind of maintenance on. So that is pretty simple. That's for pretty much anybody who does this that wants to save a bill from going to a shop to have them do it, because you can do it yourself for way cheaper. So take it easy, you guys. Have a good one. Alright. Oh, it's going?
Yeah.
Alright, so these are the tools you're going to need. We're going to go down right here. So you're going to need some jack stands.
No, it's my shadow.
No, I forget. Alright, stop that.